Hello, fellow humans, and welcome to Computer Science for Humans. Today, we are going to see if we can learn the language Rust, because it's all the rage these days. Lots and lots of people are using it, and I'm going to see if I can figure out what all the hype is about. This is technically my second time using Rust. I've used it once before, but it was very brief and a long time ago, and I don't really remember anything. A couple little things, but that's about it. And in fact, I don't think I even have it installed on this computer, so that'll be the first step. At the end of the video, I'm going to give Rust a learnability ranking, which is completely subjective, but hopefully helpful to anybody hoping to pick up a new language or a first language. Although I guess if it's your first language, all languages are new. Either way, we're going to try to get a good idea of what exactly Rust is like to program in. And the way we're going to do that is we are going to make a little game. Nothing fancy, no graphics or anything like that. We're going to make one of those old text-based games from back when I was a kid. Before me too, to be fair. I am younger than that kind of game. But it's basically a little dungeon delving game. It's going to be very simple. It's going to be you type in a prompt and then it responds kind of thing. But yeah, the game isn't so much the point as it is a direction in which to learn. Now, before we start, there are two things I want to mention. First, I really don't have much experience with Rust, so I'm probably going to do a lot of things wrong, and there's going to be a lot of edited out parts of me reading through documentation and stuff. And second, if you happen to be very good at Rust, I'm sure you're going to notice me do a lot of things wrong, and that's okay, because that's part of the learning process. I don't expect to do really much of anything the Rust way at first. I'm probably going to be doing things in the way that I'm used to, and then Russ will yell at me, and I'll slowly get a little bit more rusty as I go. You know, that is the problem with that name of the language. Yeah, I would say not the best branding, but it worked, so I'm wrong. But anyway, let's go make a game, and let's see what kind of mistakes we can make today, because that's all part of the learning process. Also, don't forget to press the YouTube buttons down below, if you want to. First things first, we should probably install it. Actually, I'm gonna open a terminal and see if I have it installed, because I installed it on one of my computers, but I don't know which one, because it was a while ago. Okay, it's not recognized there. I need to check what the command line command would be. Testing. Okay, good. My volume is still working. I am recording. Not okay. Yeah, cool. Oh, and this is why we check documentation. It's Rust C. I probably still don't have it, but okay, yeah. I do not have it involved. I assume the C is for compiler. So the first test is going to be, is it easy to install on my computer? Because that's where a lot of people get tripped up. It can be a massive pain in the butt to install some languages. Wait, what? Wait, I just downloaded Visual Studio Code. Whoopsies. So we click this. Oh, that's fancy. It's like or it's unfancy, I guess. It's programmer fancy. Regular person, not fancy. Okay, what am I looking at? I'm just going to do the default. No idea how long this is going to take. The answer is not long. Also, I just want to say, and I don't know if I put out a video on this before. I don't know how much I've talked about Rust, but I love the way Rust talks to you. Like, they're just so happy. And that is a wonderful thing. More programmers need to bring joy into their work. Yeah, okay, so this right here, I forget this all the time. It's a guilty, I was gonna say guilty pleasure, but it's not really a pleasure. You know, I feel like most experienced programmers have like one or two things that they just regularly forget. This is one of mine, is forgetting to restart the terminal. But look how clear this description is. That's just nice. It's just good. See if I can press enter. Looking back at the documentation, it looks like they have a plugin here, so I'm gonna install that. So as you can see, we've now got our Rust installation, which is cool. That was really seamless. Honestly, the hardest part was that I accidentally clicked Visual Studio Code the first time. There's going to be a lot of documentation, and it's going to have lots of details that I really don't need right now. So I'm actually going to start out going to ChatGPT and having it explain to me, summarize the differences in how it's structured between a language I know and a language that I don't know, which is Rust. Personally, this is one of my favorite ways to use AI, is to summarize big chunks of text for you. Just, as always, keep in mind it's not always correct, and it's often out of date. I'm going to compare it to Java just because that seems like a decent place to start. So one thing I'm noticing immediately is ownership and borrowing are coming up a lot, so I'm probably going to have to learn that. I remember those being a thing. I don't remember anything about it. I think it had something to do with when I started using pointers. Okay, so Rust uses structs like C, which makes sense. with traits. No inheritance. Cool. Let me know if you want me to do a video on inheritance versus not inheritance. I know it's kind of a hot topic sometimes, and I find it a very interesting conversation. This is nice. I don't think anybody really likes try catch finally blocks in Java and C sharp, and maybe C as well. I can't remember. Rust is somewhat functional, it looks like. They don't default to mutability. If you don't know, mutability is just the ability to change the value that is inside of a variable. Multiple string types. This is what I was really interested in for right now, because if we're going to be making a text-based game, we're going to be using a lot of strings. So they have multiple string types. I'm going to have to look up what a heap allocated string is versus a borrowed string slice. My guess would be this is like a fully its own standalone string, and this is kind of like a window into the string. The main takeaways I'm getting from this are that where Java uses object-oriented programming, Rust seems to be a procedural language, which makes sense. I think it was semi-based on making C more awesome. I might be getting that confused with Golang, but I think it was at least partially inspired by C, which is procedural, which means it's going to use structs instead of classes. I wonder if it does interfaces. Ah, that's what traits are. Okay, I feel ready to start coding, except I don't know the file extension. Okay, it's RS. Snake case, okay. Ah, this is nice. Thanks, ChatGPT. He gave me some examples. This is all stuff I would have had to Google anyway. Everything snake case except for structs and enums. Const are all caps. I like that. Screaming snake case. I love that. I have never seen that called screaming snake case before. Why have I not seen this? I just call it all caps. That's so much better. As a side note, and I have no idea if this has any bearing at all on what it's like to actually work in Rust, but this line of code makes me gag. I loathe the way this looks. And I don't know if this is like a normal way to write stuff or what, but wait, lifetimes. Oh, okay, so that's a special thing. We will see if I have to deal with lifetimes, but that's got to be one of the weirder notations I've seen. It's interesting that they use generics just the same way as Java. I'm gonna ignore the fact that Rust Analyzer is not working right now. I will deal with that later, if I can. We will see. Okay, so the next step is we're gonna need to design our program. I'm kind of gonna make it up as I go, but there are some basic concepts that I need to come up with beforehand. Okay, so this is a really, really basic blueprint of kind of what I'm thinking. This is very likely to change over the course of making this based on time, mostly. But the idea is you've got a room and it has a description, it has some keywords that it will recognize, and it has things that can be interacted with. So basically verbs and then nouns. You've got a console, which is how the player interacts with the room. You got a creature, which is anything that can do stuff. You got actions, which have a target and an effect. And then you've got a base stats, which I just went really simple and have a violence stat and a health stat. May add more. We'll see. This may already be too complicated. We'll see. And you know what I just realized? I don't know how to write anything in Rust. So I'm gonna have ChatGPT generate an example so I know what Rust looks like. I just asked it to give me an example of essentially how to put a variable and a function onto a struct. So we define the struct here. It's basically just a dictionary. Nice. I like that format a lot. It's very simple, very easy. I have mixed feelings about this part here. I kind of like that you put the function that you want to put onto, in this case person, onto a struct. You put the function inside of or functions, I guess, inside of this scope here. I do like that. I don't like that they shortened this to impl. Just type the whole word out. Same with function being fn. I don't like that personally. Now, if you've got a more mathematical focus, then it might make sense to do that because that's a very mathematical way to say it. So that's not as bad as some, especially if it's more of a functional-ish language, then okay, fair enough. I'm curious what the exclamation point means. I see that and self, so you have to pass in a pointer to a string, or I don't know if pointer's the right term. I'll have to see exactly what's going on there. It requires a pointer. Oh, that's and self. Sorry, that's self. Oh, okay. So that's just passing in self. Oh no, they kept the double colon from C++. Maybe C as well. Again, I don't know. I hate this notation. I don't know why. It irks me. On the bright side, it's easy to type. At least it's not like a double dash or double underscore or something. Okay, well, let's start making stuff. And already I'm running into an issue of I don't know how arrays work. Let's see an example. Let me see. I'm gonna guess based on, I saw what a number array looks like, but I need strings. So I'm just going to try to guess based on what the number one was and see how that goes. Oh, hold up. Did I just miss that earlier? Oh, it was, okay, yeah. So you use let to define a variable, I'm guessing? Okay, I would not have guessed this. This is interesting. Okay, so we're not going to use an array. We're going to use a vector because vector has dynamic sizing, which is exactly what we want, and it's basically an array anyway. Also, okay, in this line by itself, I just want to point out something I do like and something I don't like. I personally enjoy this notation as well. I like that they force a comma, or I don't know if it's forced, but they have a comma at the end of each line. That's awesome. That's way more consistent and just easier. Why do they have to shorten all of the words? It doesn't kill anybody to type vector. Seriously, just type it. So much easier to read when you write a real word. It's a pet peeve of mine. You know what? I'm actually gonna do it this way. I like it, but it's also so confusing. Okay. Fascinating. Okay, borrowing and owning is actually really cool, and I can tell I'm just hitting the surface. Okay, time to make our first mistake. Our first real one. We are gonna see what happens when I try to compile this. I am certain that there's gonna be a compile error. Aha, here we go. Oh, that's why, yeah, I forgot the dashes. Okay, here we go. Whoops, expected semicolon, found let. Where do I have let? Do I need a semicolon there? Yes, oh, okay. That makes sense, because this is part of, yeah. I just missed the semicolon. This is nice that it tells me that actions is never read. That's very nice. That's intentional for now, though. I'm glad it just warns and it doesn't like force me to fix it, because that is one of my biggest pet peeves when compilers don't let me make a purposeful mistake so that I can take a half step toward where I'm going. Well, that worked a lot better than I expected, to be honest. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. I'm gonna see if I even needed that new. I was under the impression that it was a constructor kind of thing, but we're gonna find out. It says it's never used, so I'm assuming it's never used. Yeah, no. Okay, so I don't need to do that. Cool. Okay, so we have super basic working stuff. This is awesome. That was actually quite simple. So a couple notes here while I'm thinking about them. First, the compiler's messages are fantastic. I think I've mentioned that before. It's just absolutely amazing. Second, I also love borrowing versus owning. I think that's a fantastic thing. Having it be vec instead of vector is a little silly, but whatever. Also, the exclamation point means it's a macro, which is like a more complex function. I'm not gonna dive into that right now, but yeah, okay, cool. Borrowed strings. Oh, I need to see what the difference between uppercase and lowercase string is. Slice, okay, so that's the slice. Okay, so it's lowercase because it's borrowed. The string slice, so this is basically a window onto the string. Let me see if there's split function. Well, first I'll try this. I don't know if I can do this or not. Format argument must be a string literal. You might be missing a string literal to format with. Okay, I was wondering. I knew that had to be important because that showed up in all the examples. Okay. Oh, it's printf. That's why these are there. Okay, so it's basically printf from C. Wait. That doesn't go here. Expected string found pointer to str. So when I do a literal string, it looks like it does a string slice instead. Okay, not a huge fan of the way they split up string literals from regular strings. Like this, as a programmer, as a programmer who's not used to Rust and is used to a lot of other languages, I find this very annoying. I'm sure they have good reasons for it, but this is just really irritating that I can't just throw a string into something. Again, if you know the reasoning behind why they have it like this, why a string literal has to be converted to a string so that it's a string and not an str. Well, what is it? Static apostrophe, and apostrophe is static str. Please let me know in the comments. I'd be very interested to hear. But yeah, initially, as far as like learning it for the first time, I'm not a fan of that. Okay, got rid of the errors. Hey, and that worked. Awesome. Okay, so we can get that. I guess I need to look up loops now. Oh, it's an infinite loop. Interesting. It is nice that they have a keyword for a while true. Okay, Python for loops. Awesome. Now to see if the split takes regular expressions. I hope it does. That would make me happy. Okay. So I need to figure out what a cargo.toml is. I don't know if it makes one by default or not. Oh, I'm supposed to use cargo to make a project. Okay, that's what I get for skipping the instructions. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see. I've been a goofball this whole time. Look at that. It even comes with some. Okay. I can just move all this. Not too bad. Cool. Just making sure it still works since I made some changes. Yes. Okay, awesome. Gotta say, if that's all it takes to do a dependency, that's not bad. I've dealt with much worse. Okay, so I put an R before it. Oh, okay. They've got their own. They've got different regex than I'm used to. Oh, I'm just doing this wrong. Okay, hold up. No. I don't. Oh, I forgot. I forgot to import it. What do you mean missing crate? I thought I had it in there. This is where I wish it would tell me exactly what I'm doing, but I don't think it knows what I'm doing because I'm so far off. Oh! Okay, so a crate is like an npm package. Okay. Okay, I get you. Okay, does it work now? Still mad at me. Did I mess something up? Oh, yes. It wants me to... What is this extern crate thing? Do I need to run cargo init or something? Okay. Okay. Do I have to do this to string? Okay, so I had to do cargo run, which I guess compiles the dependencies or something. I had to find that in the documentation. Oh, do I have to do cargo run every time? Oh, I do. Expected. Oh, it expected a pointer or an and string slice. Oh, in reg.split. So it doesn't want to own it, I guess. Or it wants me to already not own it. Let's see how to go to a string slice from a regular string. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm not a fan of having to frequently convert between the different types of string. I'm finding that rather obnoxious. Okay, that is different, which is good. That's a /s. That should be \, I believe. I just hit the wrong thing. Which is why it split on all the s's. Oops, I keep kicking my camera. I do like that I can run, just say cargo run instead of having to compile and run it. That is nice. Hey, Bobby, what's up? How do they get length? They probably do like a len function or something instead of get length or something. Yep, I called it. I prefer that over Python's passing token into length. It is 4 long. Okay, is 0 long, good. The reason I checked this is because I wanted to make sure that if it splits on like a period at the end of a sentence, that the thing after that is no characters, it's just emptiness. Not spaces either. Cool, so we can now parse tokens. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about this so far. Yeah, okay, I really not liking the difference between the two kinds of string and having to switch back and forth all the time. It's like half the things require a string they need permission to, half require it to not need permission, and it's just like, it's very annoying. Why is it mad at targets? Oh, because that was first. What are you at? Unused variable. Oh, yes, I know. This is intentional. I'm going to use it in a minute. Chill, dude. Target, Bobby, action, what's up? Okay, so we're parsing variables now and converting back and forth between the two of the kinds of string. There's like 4 kinds of string, and we're converting back and forth willy-nilly, but you know what? We've got it, so. That's fun. It returns if you don't have a semicolon. I like that. That's actually kind of cool. Although it could be really easy to get confused on. Okay. I only have tuples. Okay, we got a tuple of option because that means it's potentially, you know what? No, I'm not gonna make these optional. I'm just gonna do tuples of string vectors and then I can just check the length. I'm gonna type out return even though I don't have to because I'm used to it and it just, no, I need to learn Rust. Come on. I can do it. This is an interesting hybrid of like every language I've ever used, and that's cool, I gotta say. There are definitely some things that I'm not a huge fan of. There's some things I'm a huge fan of too, though. So okay, let's see if it gets all the way there. I had wondered if I was using the wrong kind of string. Okay, target Bobby, action, what's up? Okay. Whoa, what? Hold up. Do these run parallel? Do print statements run in parallel? What is this? Wow, okay. So it's not multi-threaded or anything, but it buffers the print statements as they're going. So when it's in a loop, it's sometimes delayed, so you can't count on the order. That's very interesting and could be annoying in the right context, but I'm sure it's very useful in other contexts. Okay, we've got our actions and we've got our targets. And I think that's probably... How long have I been recording? 2 hours? What? No way, dude. Oh, this is gonna be... Okay, so it's been almost 2 hours and I've finally got something that gets the actions and the inputs. Let's make some other simple stuff. Unsurprisingly, because this is a vaguely C-ish language, handling user input is not particularly simple. Although I have seen worse. Doesn't look terrible, but it's a little not the simplest. Okay, I made a big change, and so there's lots of errors. So let's go through these. I just misnamed that. Forgot an S there. Oh, yeah. And I'm not using this anymore. Cool. That actually was very smooth. Let's see if there are more. Forgot a semicolon. Oh, and another semicolon. You can tell I'm not used to the syntax. Never read, never used, never read. That's totally fine. I'm taking a half step, so I'm expecting a lot of these to not work yet. Oh, hey, look, it's waiting for me to type. Let's see what happens. Kick wall. Oh. Uh-oh, length is 0, but the index is 0. Oh, I don't have any actions, derp. We'll just do kick for now. Okay, so we've got kick the wall. I'm gonna ignore the crash for now. I think that might be because I don't know if main requires me to return 1 or a 0 afterwards, so we'll have to check on that. Kick skeleton, let's go. Okay. So our text game is actually working. Let's go over real quick what we did, because I know I did it off screen. Okay, so we've got our console. That's not different. Just made an interactable that has a list of verbs that it accepts and name variations for itself. The room has a list of interactables and then the console it uses. And what we're gonna end up doing is in this function that I commented out because I figured I'd deal with that in a minute, we're going to add all of the nouns and verbs from the interactables into the console's list of nouns and verbs that it can do. And then we have our do turn function, which asks the user to input something. And for now, all it does is just repeat to me what it got that I was doing. This is going pretty well. I am pretty happy with this so far. So we're gonna do this room init next. Whoop, I messed up. Wait, what? Okay, so we've got our first actual error that's not just me making a syntax goof. Has something to do with borrowing versus not borrowing. Into iter takes ownership of the receiver self, which moves self.interaction. Okay, so it looks like when I iterate over this list, this self.interactables, when I loop through it, part of the looping process takes ownership of interactables, which moves interactables from self over to the loop, or whatever process is running the loop. But as confusing as that sounds, the compiler is suggesting a solution, which is amazing. And yes, iterating over a slice of the vector makes sense because I don't actually need to move the vector itself around. So let's see if this fixes it. I suspect it will. Oh yeah, and I shouldn't have to do these. Okay, same issue again, just in these. Okay, just a subset of that. Oh, whoops, verb.toString. Because, you know, strings aren't strings unless they're strings. I'm gonna do that here too. And reference to the data refers to cannot be borrowed. Cannot borrow self.console.targets as it is behind an and reference. So the data it refers to cannot be borrowed. Consider changing this to be a mutable reference. And the inception continues. Okay, I imagine, oops, I keep kicking my camera. I imagine that once you get used to it, this is really nice. Let me just say though, if you're new to programming, this would probably be a nightmare to learn. Just being honest. Although you could make the argument learning this stuff from the beginning could be really useful, but I suspect if you are not a highly programmer minded person, you probably don't want to start with Rust. If you're an experienced programmer though, you should try it. It's actually really fun. I am very okay with it being mutable. Oh, and it is never used. That is true. Let me see if I got an out of bounds error. That would actually be awesome. Or if it started. Let's see, if I get an out of bounds error here, I'm going to be content with that. All these errors are just warnings that I'm not using variables that I've made, which is true because the loop is not completed yet. Index out of bounds, let's go. Okay, that was the expected error. Expected errors are good because it tells us we are on the right path. Oh, I have to run init, that's right. Cannot borrow is mutable. Do I need to make this mutable? Yep, let's just make everything mutable from now on. I'm sure nothing could possibly go wrong. Oh man. As a side note, if you are a hardcore Rust developer, let me know in the comments what a more rusty way to do this. The term, it's so goofy. But let me know a more rusty way to do this because I don't feel like I'm very rusty right now. This feels like I'm more jury rigging things rather than doing things in the flow the language intends. So let me know. Whoop, interact is never used, that's fine. Just so console does not need to be mutable. Of course it doesn't. I just panicked and made it mutable anyway. We'll leave it for now. What do I want to do? I want to kick the wall there. Wall. I have to spell wall correctly. Very, very badly, please. Oh no! Oh, Shlimmy. Okay. That exclamation point's a little annoying. I understand why it's there, and it's totally fine. It's just annoying having to type it. Okay, so it is in fact this line that's crashing. I'm just printing them. I'm not adding anything. Oh goodness. I suspect I'm gonna need to make these mutable, but we'll see. You know, I have a rule that I'm starting to learn. That is, if something doesn't work, it's probably because you told it not to, or you didn't tell it to. Yeah, like I thought, it needs to be mutable. Cool. Oh, did I do it again? Oh, whoops. I made the wrong things mutable. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I think what's going on here, correct me if you know better in the comments, but I think what's going on here is basically input here is what owns the data that was input into the function by the user, which is me. And because this variable owns the string that I'm parsing to get the commands, when it returns here, it's trying to take pieces of this string and give them to other functions where the string won't exist anymore. I think that's what's going on here, and so I basically just need to give the contents of this string to something that's allowed to share them. I might need to make the input a variable up here, but I don't really want to do that. I'm gonna try something. Can I do this? Oh. I know input's borrowed there. I'm trying to clone it so it doesn't matter. Dang it. Okay. This input is borrowed. I'm just guessing at this point. I'm gonna have to take more drastic measures to figure this out. Are you serious right now? Oh, okay. That makes sense. Maybe. We'll see. Oh, still didn't work. Okay. Oh, I still have clone. That's why. I was cloning everything. This compiler message is beautiful. This is it's so detailed and I love it. Oh, I have to clone it here. Hey, okay. So let's just go over that. The problem was that input goes out of scope at the end of this function, and because we use input to generate the actions parsed and targets parsed, they are referencing something that's gone out of scope and therefore is destroyed. So in order to fix that, we changed these back to actual strings and not STRs, string slices. And then in order to make that work, instead of my last solution, which was just change it to a string slice, we are splitting the input using a map function to change the string slices to strings by making strings out of them, and then we collect it. And then in here, we have to clone the string so that the ownership moves into actions parsed, which is then returned in a moment. That way the permission or the ownership is not lost when the function ends. That's my understanding of it. Feel free to correct me or give me more details in the comments below, but that's the general idea at least. And now our game is at least kind of working, I think. I want to please kick the wall, please. We just kicked a wall, let's go! Yes! How long did that take? That took 2.5 hours. That's actually pretty cool. But I will say, this is definitely, Rust is a lot of work. And it's work that if you get good at it, you're gonna be able to have a lot of control over what your program does. Definitely with great power comes great responsibility kind of thing. Or maybe with great power comes great hard work. Or great hard work comes power. Anyway, the harder you work at programming, the more stuff you're gonna be able to do. It's just how it works, like with anything. And Rust is a great example of a language that's hard to work with, but once you get it, you can do all sorts of stuff. And I will probably be using Rust for a lot of stuff in the future. I'm really enjoying it. Even if there are multiple kinds of strings, that's still annoying. Not a fan of that one. I get it. I see what y'all are doing. I don't disrespect it at all, but I do not like that there are multiple kinds of string. It's difficult. I guess I just need to get good. Okay, so we have the basic framework here for a game where we can do stuff. Now I'm gonna make it so that the interactables can actually respond to being interacted with. Oh, right. I need to do to lower. Dang! They shortened everything, but they don't shorten lowercase to lower. And also lowercase is one word, which is weird. So we're really close to having it working. We've got some really, honestly, pretty ugly if-else statements, but that's just what came to mind as I was writing this right now. I'm sure there's a better way to do it, but for now, I just did some if-elses so that if there's both a noun and a verb, it does it. If there's either a noun or a verb, but not both, then it describes it, and if it's just gibberish, I just say that doesn't make sense. So, we're getting there. Now, the only step left really is to make interactables be able to handle being interacted with. And I just realized I think I probably need to make this into an interface, or their version of it. It's tomorrow now. I ran out of time on the game and didn't quite get it finished. I spent a little bit of time today looking at what I would have had to do next, and basically in order to have a list of interactables, I would have had to make the vector a vector of boxes of dynamic interactables, and it was too much work. I was like, I could do that this morning before finishing, but the challenge was, can I learn Rust in one day? And I think the answer to that is not really, but it's a programming language, so it's always going to take more than a day to learn. I definitely know a lot more about Rust now. And I gotta say, it's a very cool language if you want to write high efficiency code. If you're the kind of person who, when you write code, you want to manage the memory and make sure that it uses as minimal memory as possible, be super efficient, or if your job requires that, it's fantastic. And I would recommend it over C all day, every day for that kind of stuff. If you're new to programming, I have mixed feelings about it. It's kind of in the same category as C as far as learning it will give you skills that will be useful for the rest of your programming career, but the learning curve is a lot steeper at the beginning. So you're working a lot harder at the beginning for a better payoff later. Go figure. I think I said all I have to say about it. Rust is a really cool language. I'm glad I learned it. I probably won't make it my main language just because programming in it takes a lot more effort than programming in other things. If you use Vim, you'll probably like Rust. Yeah, I suspect there's a lot of overlap in those two communities. At any rate, I have had fun. I hope you have too. Don't forget to press the YouTube buttons down below if you liked this or want to see more stuff like it. And let me know what you think about Rust. Very interested to hear in the comments below. Regardless, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, I'll see you later. I don't have enough room to get out of frame, okay?